right, welcome everyone. First of all, huge thank you to Mike Stack, our film and technical expert who has been working double time tonight and set us up with this incredible system that we have here tonight. We have the most unbelievable meeting for you tonight. We've been talking about it for months. As you know, we have specialists from the Conservation Garden and Yardfarmer here to talk about how to make beautiful gardens with less water, which is on the forefront of everyone's mind. I feel it in my yard. Everyone I talk to is feeling the same questions and pressures. So we're so grateful for them being willing to come to our community. Heads up, we booked them in February. So if you're looking for Yardfarmer's site says she's booking now for August and September. So it's a busy time. Thank you to them for being here. We have a late-breaking special guest, Alexis Matthews. She is our new engagement specialist who helps us answer all our questions, needs, priorities, all the things that we want to do with the university. Alexis is our front person, and I'd love her to come up and introduce herself, talk a little bit about her work. We're so grateful she's able to be here tonight.
Well, hey everyone, it's so nice to meet you and to be here. My name is Alexis Matthews. I have recently stepped into a new role at the University of Utah as the first community engagement specialist. It is a new role that we have here on campus, and it sits both within the Office of the President and University and Marketing Communications. So the goal of this position is to be a point of contact for all city and community related matters. We actually have our first community night at the baseball game tonight. We didn't realize that you all had a meeting tonight. Otherwise, we would have coordinated that a little better. But now we know we'd like to make it an annual event. So neighbors could claim up to 4 free tickets and receive a $10 food voucher and come check out the new baseball stadium. So that's an annual event that we'll do every year. And, you know, we're looking at more opportunities and events like that, you know, as we put this role together and see how we can best serve you all. So if you have any questions for me as things related to the university, I'm happy to chat with anybody that has any questions. I'm very excited to see the performance that's coming in. I was so happy to see that on the agenda. So I think after that performance, I'm going to sneak back over and pass out some vouchers at the baseball game. But I would say if you're interested in contacting me, the easiest way to get in contact with me is if you email community@utah.edu, and I can share that with you if you want to put it in the next.
Yes, we actually have an automated meeting software.
Oh,
so this meeting summary will go out to all of Yalecrest, and we can include your details and anything else you'd like to add in the meeting summary.
Easy.
Yep, just
Wonderful.
Get that to me tomorrow and
Okay.
we'll pop it in.
Perfect. Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
All right, Jeremy, come in. Wait, let's do a two here. Actually, let's do one more announcement and then we'll get one quick announcement. Right, sorry. Jackie is also a late breaking addition to the agenda because we're very nimble in this council.
Okay.
Jackie has been the most incredible PTO president at Bonneville Elementary.
Too nice.
She came as I was transitioning from that role, and I can say she reinvented it wholly and took it to levels I never even dreamed of. Bonneville, as one of our 2 local elementary schools, has had some huge successes this year. They were just I can tell you. Say the words.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Jackie take it.
I'm gonna read it,
but this,
so I don't get it
this
wrong.
is huge for our community.
It's pretty impressive. We received the highest level STEM school designation, which is platinum, which reflects all the hard work of the science teachers that work at Bonneville and are partially funded by the PTO. So thanks to all the community members who are so generous that we can have this science teacher and have this designation.
Right, because it is the willingness of parents and family members and the kids who put in the support, the financial support for the science teachers. And that is such an incredible lift for our community. I remember when I started as PTO president several years ago, somebody was like, well, you're gonna need $100,000 to pay the science teachers. It's like, that's not a big sale. But
It's a lot of
Jackie was like, this is not a problem for me.
I think we raised the most we've ever raised. Last year, we raised over $125,000. The science teacher costs around $50,000. And so normal PTA type funding goes to like staff support and community enrichment and all of that, which we still do, but we're also able to fund this additional science teacher. And not only was this designation like a lot of work to achieve what it represents, but actually getting the designation itself required a lot of paperwork and heavy lifting and documenting lots of things throughout an entire school year. So it just shows how committed all the staff at the school are to make sure everyone is recognized for their hard work.
And we're the only school in the district.
Yes, the only school in the district, and it is really an amazing science program. So if anyone is curious about that,
Come
there's
to
lots-
Bonneville.
yeah, come check it out. There's an amazing lab, an amazing science teacher, and it's pretty unique in the district.
We're so proud of you. Now, another highlight of the meeting is from Jeremy Brown. He is here with the Yalecrest Children's Theater Program, who are going to perform a special preview of their performance on May 29th, celebrating America's 250th birthday. I'm going to let Jeremy say a few more words about Yalecrest and Children's Theater.
Is this a good place to line up?
This is perfect. This is perfect. And then we'll let you introduce your team and the number.
Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Brown. This is the Yalecrest Neighborhood Children's Theater. Just want to say thank you for your time. Thanks for all the hard work you do for our community. I always tell my kids we won the lottery to live here, but we know there's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. So thanks to the neighborhood council for keeping it all together. So in celebration of the United States 250th birthday, we're performing a play on May 29th. We have some information over there if you'd like to attend. It'll be at the Church of Jesus Christ on 1535 Bonneview Drive. And for this play, my daughter Reagan's going to tell you a little bit about the format and kind of how it all came together.
So we all decided on our own characters and we wrote the play. And so we're really excited. We will be really excited if you come see it on this one now. So we really hope you want to see it. And it's basically a play about American like courage and how it's kind of like absolute almost.
Yeah. So she may have said this, but each child got to choose the character that they felt had a message that they wanted to communicate to modern day America. So they're each going to tell you just a quick little bit about the character they're going to play, and then we'll perform a short song.
Ruby Bridges was the first. Ruby Bridges was the first Black girl to integrate school in the South. My name is Sophie. I was the founder of the American I'm Reagan Brown explaining America. The personification of freedom carrying the torch that represents progress, reason, and enlightenment. Hi, I'm Maggie, and I'm playing Jackie Robinson. He broke the baseball color barrier in 1947 and advanced racial equality schools. I'm Pauline, and I'm playing Abraham Lincoln. The president who lived in Union and slavery. Hi, I'm Lucy. I will be playing Lord Oliver. He was the author who started stories of pioneer life and perseverance. Hi, my name is Fiona. I am playing Subramanian Chandrasekhar. He is an astronaut physics who astrophysicists who advance our understanding of stars and the universe. I'm a doctor and I'm trying to stream lots of environment. A mathematician who helps us understand probability and complex systems used in science and everyday life. I am Berkeley and I am playing Susan B. Anthony, and she was the leader in the movement for women's rights to vote. Dear fellow human beings, mankind does not have another 2,000 years to learn to love and see. We must change the conditions of our life so love flows from it and humor flows from it as it would from a happy family. Let us open our eyes and ears to one another. Let us exchange missionary each other back and forth. And so I'm here tonight, and the most I can do is sing you some songs that I know. Pete Seeger, who wrote this song. I had a hand, I remembered more. Memory is all of this land. I had a teacher, I had a warning. I had a love between brothers and sisters. All. I had a bell, I ring in the morning, I ring in the evening, all is glad. I ring out danger, I ring out warning. Love between the brothers and the sisters.
Oh, you guys, I cannot think of anywhere we need to be more than your performance on May 29th. Thank you so much. I've not been more excited for our country's birthday than I am right now. That was amazing. Now guys, if you came for the kids, stay for the gardening. Stay for the gardening. This is gonna be amazing because the kids are a perfect entryway to gardening. But if you have to take kids, that's fine too. Hannah, we have an important update from our mayor's liaison. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was so hot. I didn't prepare a song. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I have a little bit of a different update today. I'm talking about the budget. The mayor presented her budget for this coming fiscal year to the city council last Tuesday. Hopefully some of you got a chance to watch the budget speech. But I want to take some time to kind of dive in and talk through it together. For those of you, oh, sorry, it looks like the formatting on the slides got a little messed up, but that's okay. For those of you who, I spoke about the budget, I guess it was 2 meetings ago now, back in the month of March, just kind of about how it works. at the city and what the process is, but I wanted to give a little bit of a refresher here. For most of today's presentation, I'm going to be talking about the general fund, which is this blue piece of the pie. And that is what pays for our basic city services. So our streets, our parks maintenance, pays for my salary. But then I'm also going to talk a little bit about public utilities. And as a reminder, public utilities operates as an enterprise fund, which is essentially operates more or less like a private business. So all of the fees that they gather is what pays directly for the services they provide. They don't gather taxes or like use sales tax money to pay for their services. It's just the fees that folks pay on their utility bills each month. So I'll go to the next slide.
Okay.
Thank you.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
What?
missed
Sorry.
it. Okay, it's-
Very similar.
Okay.
Sorry that the formatting is a little messed up, but this is a look at the proposed budget from the mayor. You'll notice that the two biggest pieces of the pie here, we have the police department, is this blue piece at 28% of the general fund. And then non-departmental, I know when you're looking at a graph of departments, it's a little confusing, but non-departmental is services that every city department uses. So our like IT department, our fleet, all of our city vehicles, even like all of our employee health insurance goes in to that piece of the pie. And then you'll see fire department is 12%. And all in all, public safety accounts for about 42% of our general fund when we combine police, fire, and then our 911 dispatch. So I'll go to the next slide. I know that inflation is a reality of something that we're all dealing with this year and in years past. I know it's impacting all of our households when we buy our groceries and pay for our healthcare and the things that we need to live our lives. And the city is facing inflation as well. Since the mayor took office, a full set of firefighter gear has increased in price by about 23%. A ton of asphalt has increased by about 45%. And then the price to replace the traffic signals at a city-owned intersection has doubled from $250,000 to $500,000 just in the last 6 years. And these are services that the city is not going to just stop providing, right? We're not going to stop fighting fires. We're not going to stop filling potholes. And we're not going to stop operating our streets so we can all get to school and work and everywhere we need to go. So I'll go to the next slide. So when the mayor was tasked with putting together her budget proposal this year, she was looking at a deficit and figuring out how to fill those gaps. In past years, we've had a pretty healthy fund balance or savings account that we could pull from to help balance the budget. But that was no longer an option this year. And cities in Utah are required by law to have a balanced budget. There's not an option for us to operate in a deficit. So before even thinking about passing on potential increases to residents, the mayor wanted to look really seriously about efficiencies and strategic cuts that could be made at the city level while still maintaining our core services for residents. So she asked all department heads to present her with a 5% operational cut to their department budgets, which every administrative department was able to do, which is amazing. So that means our city teams are tasked with doing the same work or maybe even more work with less budget. There's also a number of other savings that we were able to implement with this budget. Starting in January of last year, we started not filling vacant positions at the city, and that accounted for about $6 million in savings in last fiscal year, and then a projected $3 million in savings for this coming fiscal year. City golf courses now make enough money to be financially stable on their own, so we were able to save just over $1 million there. Our police department under Chief Red's leadership is fully staffed, which is awesome, because that means a significant chunk of change is saved because we don't have to pay officers as much overtime to make sure that we have all the public safety services that we need. We also were able to bring a number of, I guess we were able to consolidate service contracts by bringing work in-house at the city. In last year's budget, the mayor proposed a clean city team so that we could have folks to clean up graffiti and clean up like trash related to homeless encampments and just keep our city clean. That's literally what they exist to do. And by doing that, we were able to save $1 million because we no longer have to have an external service contract with a different contractor to do that job. We can do that ourselves. And then we also eliminated some low use programs. One example of that is the Hive Pass program, which is a reduction for folks to be able to get a UTA pass for the if you are a city resident. And the reason that the decision was made to eliminate that program is because it's a pretty low use program. There's less than 400 residents that use that program citywide. So in the context of 220,000 residents, that's pretty low. It's also a program that doesn't have an income test. So we do already have another program that provides low-cost UTA passes for folks who are like hit this low income status, this low income threshold. And so if we're choosing between investing in one like transit pass program over the other, the mayor wants to prioritize investing in that program that supports low income folks. The city also has a super successful program where every student in the Salt Lake City School District gets a UTA pass, as well as a parent or guardian and all teachers and staff that work in the Salt Lake City School District. And just that program alone had, I think in March of this year, had 80,000 rides on UTA. So we can see that there's a lot of users that use that program and that it's highly utilized, which is great. So again, if we're going to choose between one program or the other, we're going to keep focusing on that school district program. So I'll go to the next slide here. All that being said, after the $13.2 million that were saved with those efficiencies, there was still a shortfall in the budget that needed to be filled. So the mayor is proposing a property tax increase that would generate the $13.5 million in revenue to balance the general fund. And that equates to about $9.87 per month for a home assessed at $624,000, which is the average home value in Salt Lake City. And here's a breakdown specifically of what that $9.87 would go towards. The majority of it would go towards capital improvement projects. So major road projects, parks maintenance, etc. $1.11 would go to support our justice court. They've seen a significant growth in their caseload. And they were able to get a new judge added in last year's budget, but that also means that judge needs now staff and administrative support to make sure that they can keep cases moving through the system. $1.32 is going to fire response and prevention, specifically in our wildland and urban interface. So in our foothills, which is good, that's something we definitely need, as well as 9 new firefighters in Sugar House to staff a fire truck that's needed because of the new high rises in that area. Want to be sure that they have capacity to fight fires in those taller buildings. 58 cents of that would go towards youth and family services. That's a city program that has unfortunately lost their federal funding. And so the mayor decided that it was important for the city to step up to the plate and continue that programming so that kids in Salt Lake City can have after school and summer programming. 78 cents would go towards our city fleet maintenance, making sure that our snow plows are ready when we need them, which hopefully next winter we will need them more than we used them this past winter. 82 cents would go towards ongoing maintenance of new public lands. Our public lands department, I think, acquired 26 new properties that they now need to maintain. They acquired those last year. And so we'll need some ongoing maintenance staff to make sure that those areas are taken care of. 37 cents going to our sustainability department, which specifically focuses on air quality, which is of course a priority for our city. And then 17 cents going towards lighting in public spaces. So more lights in our parks so that we can feel safe using them at night. I'll go to the next slide. Thank you. So this is just a reminder that there's a lot of taxing entities on your property tax bill. Would encourage you to take a look at it and kind of see all the different line items on there. Salt Lake City is just one piece of the pie. Education is the biggest piece of the pie at about 41% of your property tax bill. And then you'll also see the county, the library is accrues, or I guess gathers property taxes. And even everything all the way down to the mosquito abatement district shows up on your property tax bill. So all in all, Salt Lake City is just over a quarter of your property tax bill. So when we're talking about proposed increase on your bill, that increase would only apply to that piece of the pie, not your entire bill. I'll go to the next slide. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is just a visual breakdown of the proposed monthly increase depending on your home value. And this is just a range. More exact numbers will be mailed out from the county assessor to homeowners with your specific assessed value for your home and then what that increase would look like per month for your home. Thank you. Yeah. Also talk about it. I'll just hear questions. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll be faster. Sorry, I'll be back. This is a lot. Okay, I'm gonna quickly talk about public utilities. So public utilities also has some proposed water and sewer rate changes. Again, sorry about this formatting here, but tried to provide kind of a range here. It's really hard to give everyone an exact estimate of what these changes could look like on your bill because we all have different water habits. We all have different lot sizes, different landscaping in our yards. So there's no like firm way of telling you exactly how much your bill could potentially change. But you can see some examples of minimum use, minimum residential use all the way up to residential high use. And the reason for these changes is because public utilities is looking at some infrastructure needs. Our water treatment facilities were built in the 1950s and 60s, and so they're nearing the end of their lives. And back then, federal funds covered about 50 to 60% of those major infrastructure projects to help the city build these pieces of infrastructure to get clean water all the way from the top of our canyons through our reservoirs to our taps. And now the federal government with these projects, the funding from them is closer to like 3%. So that means that the city is taking on a much bigger share of that cost burden. And yet it is not optional for the city to provide our residents with clean drinking water. We have seen what happens when American cities kick this can down the road and don't invest in their water infrastructure. And Salt Lake City is not willing to do that. We want to make sure that when you turn on your tap, you have clean drinking water. And that's the case for generations to come. And on the other side of things, we want to make sure that when stuff goes down your drain and into our sewers, that it gets treated and cleaned and diverted to the Great Salt Lake, because that's just as important. So I do have a couple resources here so that you can learn more about what impacts could look like for you. We'll go to the next slide. This QR code will take you to a bill calculator that Public Utilities has developed. So you can put in more personal details pulled from your public utilities bill now to figure out what these changes would look like for you. I also have the phone number and email address here for public utilities if you do have specific questions. We also have Laura Briefer here, who is the director of public utilities, who is obviously knows way more about this than I do for questions, but we'll keep our timing piece in mind. I'll go to the next slide. Obviously, some of the pieces of these increases are fixed, and you would still pay even if you used no water at all. But some of your bill is definitely tied to your water usage habits. And so just want to point everyone to all of our amazing water conservation resources at the city, so you can be mindful of the water you're using. And if you are looking to make strategic cuts, the city is actually doing free water checks now through the summer to help see potentially where you could reduce in your landscaping or find some efficiencies in your water use habits. And I'll go to the next slide. Thank you. Lastly, public utilities has some additional fixed fees looking at stormwater and street lighting. For the average residential household, it'll be about $1.75 for stormwater and then $2.60 a month for street lighting. And waste and recycling has a proposed increase of $3.29 a month. I believe this is about the same as last year. They did a survey a few years ago where residents communicated to them that they'd much rather have just a steady small increase each year rather than bigger increases every few years. So that includes your recycling can, your brown landscaping can, your 2 call to haul pickups twice a year, and your call to haul pickups twice a year, not 2 twice a year, and like your holiday tree disposal and all of that. Next slide, we're almost done here. I know this is a ton of information. Lastly, if you go away from this presentation with any information, I want it to be this. City Council has 2 public hearings coming up for residents to give feedback on the budget. So the first one is next Tuesday, May 19th at 7 PM. And then the second one is on June 2nd, also at 7 PM. Those are both at City Hall on the 3rd floor, and an hour before those meetings. So starting at 6 PM, we will have a budget open house where folks from the mayor's office, public utilities, and our finance department will be there to answer questions or talk more specifically about budget details. So I think that's all I have. I will point to a couple of resources here, with the acknowledgement that all of us are facing budget changes just in our household, as I said, at the grocery store. And I put together an affordability resource guide that are all the different resources available to city residents to help with monthly budgets and things that could be contributing or at least helping with current situations. So that copy is over on the table. I also have these smaller business cards that will take you to our budget website where all of this information is available, plus a QR code that'll take you to the council's website where you can comment directly. So I know that's a ton of information. Is it okay if I take questions, or do we not have time?
I think we don't have time for questions at this
Okay.
exact second.
Okay,
But all of the information goes out in our meeting summary, and people can follow up with me, with you.
great. Thank you. I'll be here for the whole meeting, so.
And yeah, thank you so much. All right, we are gonna open the, and actually, Hannah, thank you so much for moving through that material so efficiently, because had we not had slides about water conservation, we would not be as ready as we are for the next part of our meeting from Daryl and Madeline. So as you know, we're so excited to have Daryl from the Yardfarmer here, and I will turn the time over to our gardeners.
Check in the time. How long do you want me to go? So I can breeze through some
I
slides.
was thinking 20 minutes for you and Madeline
Okay,
each,
so
if that.
10.
No, it's like 20
Oh,
each.
no, but split. I'm budgeting 10.
Yeah.
Like I'll go 10.
Oh, yeah, you just girl go.
No, but I can, if you get me started and I don't.
You've got 20 minutes. You've got 20, you've got 20.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
understand you
No.
share.
No. You share.
I
share
had
50
accidentally
minutes.
talked for 45 minutes when it was supposed to be a 10-minute talk.
Hey.
So I was trying to just piece it out. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
You got slides?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's just, we can just, and in order to keep it brief, I might just say next slide,
Okay,
please.
yeah.
Okay, hi, how's everybody doing? Good. My name's Daryl. I am the head designer, founder of a little studio called Yardfarmer. We're a team of 7 people now. We design residential landscapes, and our bread and butter is really helping folks convert some or all of their bluegrass lawn away from bluegrass to either drought tolerant lawn alternatives, or if they're feeling racy, some pretty flowering native plants and so on. I really want to talk about collective impact a little bit, because sometimes it's like, oh, it's a drought and everything is so big and so bad and so scary, and what does my little yard matter? How many of you here have a bluegrass lawn that like maybe you would shrink it a little bit or get rid of some? Okay, so there's like 15 people raising their hand. We'll
Okay.
look at this slide after. I converted my 1,200 square foot front yard from Kentucky bluegrass, which needed 3 inches of water a week to stay green in Utah in high summer, to a drought tolerant native landscape needs less than a 1/4 inch of water every 2 to 3 weeks. When you do those volume calculations, it amounts to 100,000 gallons of water saved per year. There were more than 10 of you who raised your hand, and if you wanted to do that, we together in this room, 10 of us, could save 1 million gallons of water a year. And then if 10 more people, it's going to compound annually, right? Because your yard, if you did it this year, is going to do 1 million a year forever, and it'll just compound and compound. So I think that's important to think about when things feel really dire. That collective impact, even if it's just your little square of the universe, is really important. And there are ways to do it cheaply, which I'm going to talk about today, because if you want a fancy landscape design, I can help you with that, but there are in fact ways you can do it without one. Let's just kind of breeze through and see. Okay, yeah, so number one, we're going to talk about low hanging fruit for saving water. So this is the stuff you could do right away, no big construction, no changes. Then we're going to talk about lawn alternative options This is if you still want a lawn, either you like the look or you have functional needs for one, you can kind of swap to a more drought tolerant option. And then if you want to shrink or convert your lawn, we're gonna talk about that too. Next slide, please. Okay, so low hanging fruit. If you want to reduce your outdoor water use easily, I know you've heard this before and it sounds like, okay, I'll switch to a smart timer. It really blew my mind when I learned about how much water this smart timer will save you. And there are rebates through Slow the Flow. If you go to slowtheflow.org.com. Slow. Yeah, we're slowing it down. We're trying to percolate it into the ground. But if you go there, because I think they just switched or swapped, one of those. They just changed over from Utah Water Savers officially, right? So it's now Slow the Flow. I'm getting a nod. You can get a rebate for this timer. This is what blew my mind. I thought the timer was just checking if it was raining a little bit and then it would delay your sprinklers. No, this thing is hooked up to your weather station and it will delay your sprinklers for wind, for rain, for a lot of things. And we actually found that wind delay was, you probably know this more than me, wind delay was like an astronomically higher amount of savings than the rain delay. And it was resulting in a 50% water savings overall. So you could cut your lawn water use potentially up to half just with this. And and you will also know, is it $100 rebate? $100 rebate on the smart timer. So do that before we even worry about doing anything else. Let's just reduce our water use by up to half. Next one, allow your lawn to get 5 inches to 6 inches tall. I know that will take a little bit of like cultural reframing about what a nice lawn is meant to look like, but the blade length and the root health and the root's ability to uptake water directly correlated. So if we're cropping it within an inch of its life, it's literally within an inch of its life. And the longer we allow our lawn to grow, the less water it will need. These two things together, if we were just gonna do this, huge collective impact is what we will see. Nourish your lawn. A healthier lawn uptakes water more easily. I like every couple of years, and that's because I don't mind a little bit of a lumpy, bumpy lawn. If you want a golf course looking lawn every year, you would aerate it, dethatch it, and then you could apply just a straight organic compost. You don't need fancy program. You don't need crazy fertilizers or pesticides. Just organic compost right into those aeration holes will do a whole lot. And then if you're open to it, you could overseed your existing Kentucky bluegrass with a more drought tolerant lawn variety or an eco lawn blend that has some micro clover or some turf type yarrow or things that are much more drought tolerant and also do not turn brown at the first sign of stress the way that bluegrass does. So you'll require less water while still keeping that emerald green color. This is just if you're okay with seeing more texture and biodiversity in your lawn, but if you are, especially from far away, if you squint, it's going to look greener and therefore better with a lot less water. And then this, you can get a rebate for this. Do you have to do the full Utah Water Savers program to also get the switch to drip, or can you get the switch to drip separate? Okay, so if you have flower beds that are serviced by above ground sprinkler heads, so this is not drip lines, and you want to switch them to drip, because you can imagine, given the wind delay thing, above ground evaporation, wind loss, and so on, drip is much more efficient for getting the water to the plants. You can actually get a rebate just for doing that without even touching a single square foot of your existing grass. So again, like I run a studio, love doing landscape designs, but if that feels stressful or overwhelming, just start here. And the water bill, which we were just talking about that going up a little bit, you may see some big reductions before we even get into the fun, pricey stuff. Okay, lawn alternatives. So this is if you want to keep all or some of your grass and you want to completely transfer it over from Kentucky bluegrass to something maybe a little bit better adapted to Utah's climate. So I've got a whole bunch of categories. I'm going to try to breeze through them pretty quickly. And I'll share these slides. I think I've already shared the slides, so you can, you know, don't feel like you need to memorize it. We'll send this out to you. Thank you. Okay, so warm season grasses. The thing I want you to know and understand when you're choosing a lawn alternative is that there are warm season grasses and cool season grasses. The reason Kentucky bluegrass is so popular is because we can control the seasonality of how green it stays based on how much we water it, because it is a cool season grass. Its natural habitat is cold, rainy, cool. And as soon as it starts warming up and it starts browning, that's because it just wants to go to sleep for the warm season and then wake up again in the cool season. And we're gaslighting it into thinking that it's the cool season for the whole summer. We're just dumping water on it, tricking it into thinking that it's raining. Which, when you live in a desert, maybe we could just plant a warm season grass instead that comes out of dormancy during the hot, dry season. The trade-off for that is during the winter months, it is going to look like a dormant lawn. So you will have a brown lawn in January. I'm okay with that, to have an excellent looking lawn in July that needs barely any water, but it's up to you based on your preferences. Here are some options to look at. Buffalo grass, blue grama grass. This is also a great native ornamental grass, but if you densely seed it and plant it and then mow it, it looks like a great lawn. There are certain blends. I was gonna go through all of them, but given the time, I'm gonna skip that and we can send out some links. And then hybrid Bermuda, which if you wanted a sod, there's one called Tacoma 31 that's very interesting, that you can just lay down and you've got a sod. And then there's also, for if you wanted to plant plugs and you needed something that was even more drought tolerant and more foot traffic tolerant, there are plugs called dog tough grass. And it is exactly what it sounds like with the name dog tough. And you put it in the ground like a little chia pet, and then it all sort of knits together. And if we had time, I would tell you about the drama about how this was illegal and then we had to advocate and now it's not illegal, but that's the Cliff Notes version. Okay, no mow grasses. So these can be cool season, but these are like mowing optional cool season grasses that may require in general, similar or slightly lower water needs than bluegrass, but because we're allowing them to grow longer, the root health is healthier and therefore we can reduce the amount of water used. Fine fescue blends, and the word fine is really important there because that's how you get this look, because the blades are not strong enough to stand up tall and it looks very hobbity and flippity floppy. If you purchase something called tall fescue, it's just like bluegrass and it's gonna stick up tall into the sky. We don't want that. Eco lawn blends. This was what I was talking about earlier. I can tell you specific places to get them. There's a great vendor called PT Lawn Seeds who sells one that is turf type yarrow, micro clover, and fine fescue blends mixed together. This is what I just overseed over existing Kentucky bluegrass just to get that biodiversity and drought tolerance. Okay, meadow lawns. This is if you are okay with it actually looking like a meadow. My favorite is to overseed with a buffalo grass and blue grama blend for like a warm season, slightly taller, fluffier lawn. And then I will chuck native wildflowers into that. So this might be the craziest of the options I'm presenting. You don't have to do this if you have an acre of grass to the entire acre, but maybe you don't need that back half of the acre. So we could convert that to a meadow version of the lawn. And what's fun about that is you can still mow pathways through a meadow lawn. So you could have walkable areas or playable areas with the cute little wildflower borders on the outside. One more, please. And then clovers, Dutch white clover, micro clover, and prairie clover. Prairie clover is the one that will grow tall. So that is one you could put in a meadow lawn or an area you don't need to walk on. Dutch white clover and micro clover are essentially the same thing. This one costs 4 times as much, but is bred to grow like 40% lower than the Dutch white clover. So if you want it to stay really low and tiny, you can splurge on the micro clover. They are the same exact cultivar. This one just has a fancy little extra name attached to it. Okay, one more, please. I'm like, my mouth is dry. I'm like really speed running through this. Okay, but why stick to just lawn? You don't need to remove all your grass. You can remove just some of your grass. Next slide, please. Here's a design. This is actually an older one, but it was in the slide and I kept it because I was feeling nostalgic. This was all grass when we started. We still have a very functional lawn here. It's adjacent to a trampoline, a play area, a swing set, but we've shrunk the lawn by more than 50%, easily 60, 70%, and still kept this central open shape. This will dramatically improve your water use and the biodiversity of your space. Here's another example. If you just squint really hard, you can see there's lawn over there. But here we've got an amazing native and drought tolerant pollinator garden. I see some silver sage and salvia and fringe sage and some blue stems. There's some really great natives in this design. This is also one, this would be like a shade border. If you had a bunch of trees and not a lot of light, you could keep some lawn and then do a gorgeous little shade border, bring the lawn in. I didn't bring water or anything and I'm about to go. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm literally like drying up. Thank you. Here's a really cute one. This reminds me of your neighborhood a lot. I've done many a front yard design in many a neighborhood like Yalecrest, where we still kind of play on the craftsman charm and we keep a little bit of lawn for some negative space, and then we put some lovely plantings in the front and the back. I know that Utah Water Savers doesn't love a path bisecting the lawn, but I still stand by this design. I love it a lot. Okay. Landscape prep, I'm gonna breeze through this, but this is just before you do any of the stuff I just told you about. You would flag for utilities, you'd flag your sprinkler heads, and you'd test your soil. Planning your perennial landscape. So if you want to come with me on a journey and we want to reduce the amount of lawn or maybe remove all of the lawn, here's a way that I would do that. I mean, I guess if I really wanted to commit, I would just hire a landscape designer like myself. But if I wanted to do it myself, I'm going to give you the formula so that that's an option, but not a requirement to do something like this. This is the formula. These are the trade secrets. This is what I do for every single design. So if you learn this, you can also have my job. Path of travel first, always first, because if we're ripping grass out and we put a 3-foot tall plant in its place, you can't walk on it anymore. So we plan for where you walk. Number one, that's this path going all the way up. There's also, because there was a little bit of slope here, so we're stepping down on this slope and we're looping around to that gate. Path of travel is planned for. Then, do we want negative space or not? This is a cool mid-century modern home. We wanted some negative space so that I could rest a little bit, which is why we're keeping this central open shape here. I live in a 1930s witch cottage. I have no negative space in my front yard, so it's really up to you. Edging, so this is basically creating a frame or making your landscaping feel a little bit more intentional. The way that we framed the landscape is with this 410 steel. It's like a weathered, rusty steel edge here. And then we've gone with really clean lines for the pathway. So everywhere else, the plantings can actually come all the way up to this path, and the path itself is the edge. Then we place focal points. Boom, evergreen there. Multi-stem tree there, little evergreen here, evergreen there. That's where your eye goes first. And then only after that do we fill in with all the cute mass plantings of things. Thank you so much. That is really so helpful. Thank you. Okay, I'm done, guys. I did that. So here are some resources for you. I do have a little link here that supports local bookstores if you want to read some books about sustainable landscaping. And I do consults. The sort of sketch rendering that we just looked at was a consult, now design client, where we just pulled her house up on my iPad while we were on a call, and I drew straight onto the house while we were talking. And you can see that at yardfarmer.co, and that's also my social handle on all platforms. Whew, I'm out of breath. Thank you very much.
We save time for questions. So we have direct, like, questions related to this. We might as well grab them.
Let's talk. Ask me about your yards. We can go through some questions. Hello, hi.
Hey, our landscape was xeriscape with rocks.
Oh, fun.
Previously, and I don't know to get rid of it and put native plants, but, and I landscape with that originally. I saw something that they recommended, well, I don't think it's the landscape product, but like, should we leave the rocks and plant on top of it, or should we just plant them and everything off today?
How big? How much rocks are we talking about?
The smaller rocks.
Okay.
The smaller lots.
Okay.
So.
Like, I'm basically saying, how emotionally and spiritually prepared are you to move rocks? Because that's going to be the factor.
I guess I'm asking if we.
It's definitely preferable to move the rocks, but that doesn't matter if you are not prepared to move the rocks. We got to do something else then.
And then if we did want to plant just over the rocks
Mhm.
Is the soil kind of gonna be permanently permanent?
Excellent questions. So if we need to keep the rocks, and I kind of think a hybrid model might be a good approach, but if we needed to keep all of the rocks, you would need to move the rocks aside and cut into the native soil and plant into the soil. And it's not going to be ideal. I would select the hardiest, most heat tolerant, most foolproof of our native plants. Silver sagebrush, rabbit brush, some blue grama grass. If things say rock garden on the plant tag, that's a great indicator. And you're likely not going to get the healthiest, happiest, like densest coverage if we're planting into the rocks. So you will still need to kind of get in there and pull weeds out of the crevices and so on. If it's possible, like if you could invest in help from a crew or an excavator to just get those rocks moved, you could then test the soil, remediate the soil because it has been smothered and doesn't probably have a lot going on down there right now. And then we could just start from scratch, but that's expensive or exhausting, which is why I asked you that question. Because maybe you could do a hybrid approach where you say like, okay, 80% of the rocks are going to stay and we're going to do that rock garden thing. But the high impact areas where I really want a pollinator garden or like a big 3-foot border on the sidewalk, I am going to haul those rocks and remediate that soil. Do you know if you have pop-up sprinklers everywhere? Do you have drip irrigation through it? Okay, so if you were, I'm trying to think, like, is it all one zone? We don't know. Okay, because if you were to remediate it, you would still want to plant plants with similar water needs if it's one zone. But if you have the ability to do multiple zones, you could pull the rocks out and have like some different kinds of cottage garden stuff here and then your rock garden zone on a different hydro zone. So maybe it's worth adding a zone too, and that you can borrow from the rock money and move it into the hydro zone money or something. Yeah, you're welcome. Hello, hi.
I just have 3 questions about overseeding. So
Of course.
Overseeding, is there a certain time we should do that? Can we do it in the summer? Yeah, we can do it in the spring or fall.
Spring or fall would be much better because you want to establish with water and it's going to require a lot more water through the hot months to do so. It is technically a science, but I love to think of overseeding like an art where I just buy a big 5-pound bag of this stuff and every spring and fall I start chucking it places. And then you turn the sprinklers on just a little, you turn the sprinklers on just a little bit more to establish the grass. No, it won't. However, it will, especially if you're not reseeding with bluegrass, because those perfect lawns we see, they're reapplying bluegrass sometimes annually. So if you do this spring and fall, spring and fall, spring and fall, you're going to see it gradually take over. If you let the eco lawn blend go to seed, like you let those clovers flower, you let the turf type yarrow flower, then you're going to see it take over faster because you're going to get a free round of seed from the plants themselves versus if you mow it. And then eventually, once the eco blend is established, so 2-3 years in, you can start cranking your water use down even more because the eco blend will hold up better to the lower water use than the bluegrass. So the bluegrass will enter dormancy faster. And depending on how comfy you are with the awkward brown phase, you could start that right away and let the bluegrass die back a little faster. I'd still do the establishment season, but after that, but if you wanted it like clean and easy, 2-3 years in, you could reduce water.
Can you overseed with overall?
Yeah, absolutely. The eco blend is just if you wanted extra stuff, but it's the same idea. Cool. Any other questions with the lawn? Okay.
You have to prepare the lawn for the seeding.
Great question. Is it better? Yes. Do I always? No. To prepare, I would do the dethatch and aerate. At the very least, I would get a hard metal rake and like just go take out some stored frustration and or just take out some anger on the lawn just to expose some soil so that there can be seed soil contact. And then it would be good to apply just a light layer of compost. This is not so much that you're smothering the lawn or creating a visible layer of soil, just enough that it's kind of falling down into the cracks and crevices. If you find that you have parts of your lawn that's very lumpy, bumpy, compacted. You could thatch, dethatch, aerate, and then apply a lawn leveling mix, which is a compost topsoil sand mixture. I believe it's 50% topsoil and then a 25-25 on the other two. And that basically lets you like sandcastle smooth out the holes, and then you could reseed on top of that as well. You have the chicest bob I've ever seen, by the way. You look amazing. Anyone else? Yeah, hi.
What would you suggest for like a dog, small patch
Of grass. Is it, are we talking zoomies? Okay, so if it's full sun, that dog tough grass is phenomenal. That is what it is designed for. Very, very smart people in Colorado who I believe have like a dog sled team designed that grass. It is a warm season grass, so it is dormant until May. It doesn't look great till May, and then it looks amazing until October with almost no water. And it holds up to foot traffic like nothing I've ever seen. Beyond that, a lot of the eco blends that I went through, the warm season grasses, they're not going to hold up nearly so well as a straight bluegrass lawn will if you're seeing regular zoomies. If you're okay with something a little lumpy and bumpy, I would just have extra seeds of whichever eco blend or lawn alternative is your favorite and just keep reseeding. Or start with a bluegrass and then overseed with the eco lawn blends to bring the water needs down, just because the bluegrass is famously, that's why it exists, right? They developed it for golf courses, and then Pennington Seed was like, we should sell this to Americans, and here we are. Excellent. Hi.
What's your best advice for deer?
Oh, interesting. How much are we talking? Are they every day snacking?
No, but they, whenever any roses come up or whatever.
Yeah. Anything that you see marketed to you on a tag as deer resistant is marketing. There's no such thing as a deer proof plant. Moving any high priority, high value or sentimental plants behind at least a 5-foot fence is the best thing. So for front yard landscaping, the best we can do is plant things that are notably not delicious to deer. So avoid tulips, avoid hydrangeas, roses. I wish I had off the top of my head, like the ones that they don't love the taste of, and I just don't. But I know that if we search just like which plants are not delicious to deer, that will come up. The one thing I know of that is deer deterrent, and it does help to some degree, are daffodils. So if you want to go absolutely crazy with daffodils, it will help a little bit. But if there's a rosebud up here and a daffodil down there, especially because they're out of dormancy at different times, it's not witchcraft.
Lavender and yarrow.
Are they? Okay, lavender and yarrow. And yarrow's a native, so we like that. That's interesting because there's turf type yarrow in those lawn alternatives that we were talking about. So maybe if you overseeded your lawn with turf type yarrow, then that whole area would start to feel less inviting and hospitable to the deer. But I'm guessing. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Throw out there what everyone knows, which is that Daryl is available for private consultation. So if you want to know more than you know right now, look into that. Madeline, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I'm so sorry. I might need to sit where you're sitting because I have like so many transitions. It's gonna be a nightmare for you. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry in advance, but
So I'm glad.
hi, everybody. My name's Madeline. I work for Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District. So we are not your water provider. Salt Lake Public Utilities is, and they're amazing, and they're one of our amazing partners, and we love them. But we service like a majority of like Salt Lake County. Pretty much we're like 2100 south all the way to the point of the mountain. And then we're kind of patchy on the east side, like the east bench, but a majority of the west bench. So, oh, there it is. That's where we service. And we, as a drinking water provider, we're really trying to make sure that we're planning strategically into the future so that we can make sure that these water resources are not only used sustainably now, but that they're available for us to have for future generations. And it's getting complicated, folks. I will not lie to you. I've worked here for 6 years, and I'll give you like, when I first started working here, our rebate was 30 cents for every square foot of lawn that you've replaced, and now it's $3. I'm not great at percentages. It's a high percent increase, so it's like really good. So we're also like running into a lot of challenges. The first one is our population projection. So this is not including immigration into our service area. Remember, our service area is a lot of the west side, which is a lot of our rapidly growing areas, which isn't a bad thing. But in Utah, family is one of our main values. Like, that's just what it is. And if we're going to have large families and then our children are going to have large families, that's not an issue, but we have to plan smart for that, right? We can't just assume that the resources are going to exponentially multiply the way that populations do, right? That's not how population statistics work. So, also our annual temperature is increasing. What this means for us is it's getting hotter sooner, staying hotter longer. So for us as a water provider, that means we need to be able to deliver our highest capacity usage, right, for a prolonged period of time, which puts more stress on the infrastructure, which is why we then have to pass down those capital project costs, right? It's because we're running at a higher volume. And this, I don't like to like beat y'all over the head with it, but it really is an indicator of like, we should be having these conversations about our water resources. And so I'm really happy that to see so many people here tonight to like hear all of us talk about like our little piece of the pie, and like, thank you. And seriously, like, I hope you learned something. And if not, I hope you had fun hearing from all of us. So this graph is showing the average person's water use in our service area. So GPCD is gallons per capita per day. So on average, what's it looking like? We assume indoor water use is constant because no one's like showering for exponentially longer, hopefully. And if you are, knock it off for real. That's not what we want you to be doing. So we assume this blue hump here is our outdoor irrigation, right? And I'm gonna breeze through some of this. Daryl was talking about it. Waiting to water, being strategic with your lawn. There are a lot of things you can do before you even take your grass out to save us a ton of water. What I will say actually though, because I'm up here, is basically every little drop of water that you save in that blue hump is water that stays up in our reservoirs. And we treat our reservoirs like emergency funds, right? If there is a natural disaster like a wildfire or an earthquake that rapidly damages one of our water mains, because hello, they're in the ground, you guys, that's where they are. Where are you going to get your water from? Hi, hello, it's life and death, babe. I'm like, it's scary, but that's like the reality of it, right? And so if you don't drink water, you die. So any water that we can keep where we want it is better. Because what happens when we irrigate with our sprinklers is that water, the majority of it is running off, which then we're losing to evaporation. When it evaporates, it leaves our basin. So it's water loss. It's not evaporating and staying in our natural system as it would as if it had been put into our groundwater, right? Like our watershed is refueled by our groundwater, and turf grass, because of its short roots, isn't great at recharging our groundwater because it's just too shallow to do so. Its roots are only this long. So I will say something about grass, sorry. This is what we would like people's water use to look like. And all of that savings translates directly to saving us all money as well. So what this is saying is every blue bar represents an infrastructure or capital project of some sort that we would be required to do in order to ensure that everyone has access to clean and safe and reliable drinking water. Because once again, like, we can't pick and choose who gets access to drinking water, right? We can't say like, hey, sorry, you're not a 5th generation Utah and you don't get drinking water today. You only get it on even days, right? Like that's a human rights issue. You have to have access to it to stay alive. So we have plans to develop things, but we don't want to do that because we don't want to look like the bad guy, you guys. We've been doing water conservation since 1999. If I worked for Coca-Cola, why would they pay me a salary to go around telling people to stop buying their product? Seriously, you guys, like that's a bad business model. That's how you don't sell things. And so we're doing it because it's our cheapest and best option, right? We're doing it because if we can lower our demand curve, we can essentially push out, hopefully until infinity, all of these really expensive capital projects. And then we don't have to pass those expenses on to you guys either, right? It's like let's just use what we have a little more water smart, right? So we have a 3-pillar approach. I'm going to breeze through all this. I have a ton of handouts and stuff back there. So help yourself to any of that. Localscapes, I'm literally going to go through so quick, but basically we started Localscapes as a way to help people who can't hire a landscape designer be able to understand the tips and tricks that Daryl was talking about originally. So we came up with like 5 elements of like, if you are looking at a yard like this and you don't know where to start, here are 5 different types of things you can think about adding rather than thinking about what you're taking away, right? Because really you're just adding function and you're adding beauty to your landscape. So how does this make you all feel? No wrong answers, but just, I always ask. Yeah, usually it's like crickets or someone like throwing up in the back. I don't know. And then this is what they did after. And the reason we use it as an example is because you wouldn't be walking past that and say like, oh, that's a water-wise landscape, right? Like there's no wagon wheel, there's no cactus, there's no skull and crossbones, or like, you know, and that's a beautiful aesthetic if that's what you like, but that's what's holding Utah back. And we cannot be held back anymore. We need lush, beautiful ecosystem service providing groundwater recharging functional landscapes, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're asking you to do here tonight. So if you want to come to any of our classes, they're all free. We do them in person, live webinars, on demand, pre-recorded. All that information is back there. And then, have any of you been to our garden, conservation garden? Okay, amazing. So we're a free garden. We're in West Jordan. It's not that far away, okay? I live right here and I commute every single day. I live in walking distance from this library. Don't want to hear it, sorry. And everything there is water-wise, every single plant. So you can just walk around. We have the dog tuff. It's been illegal for us to have it for so long, and we have it, and now we're like, look at us. We
used to tell people to smuggle it in.
we literally were like,
you just go see it in an exhibition is amazing.
yeah, we were like, so okay, we got it, and then they're like, that's super illegal, and we were like, we're just gonna call it a different thing. So definitely come. Oh wait, let's see. We have a ton of classes. We do like in-person classes where you can get out with our gardeners and like learn hands-on skills. We have a rethinking lawn class, which kind of goes into the history of like, how did we get here? And then we also do classes for landscape professionals as well. So we work with the Qualified Water Efficient Landscaper Program, which Daryl is, by the way, which is awesome. You passed the test. Yeah. And it's a test. And it's like you have to learn from like professionals and academics. And we're really trying to also encourage public works departments, faculties at different commercial, industrial, and institutional places to also attend this, because to be honest, there are spaces where lawn makes sense. Like we want to have lawn where kids can play it in parks and at school, right? But let's make sure that lawn is managed responsibly and with people who are up to snuff on the most water-wise practices. And then we also do a ton of fun classes too. We do free yoga, free sound baths, forest bathing. We have like photography classes and plein air painting. And we are a free community green space. We operate like a library, but our whole thing is about water conservation. So please use our resources. The more you use them, the more support you're giving us, right? So definitely take a picture of anything back there, snag stuff. And thank you guys so much for having me. That's all. Awesome. Oh, yeah. Does anyone have questions? We do have rebate programs too. I don't want to like steal your time too much, but all of them are on slowtheflow.org. And you just basically go there, put in whatever your city is, and it will bring up the exact link for you to apply through. Because there's a bunch of different, like, all of the water districts, we're sister agencies, so we work together to provide funding, but we don't have like the manpower to just, like, it has to be broken up somehow. So that's how we do it. But $3 per square foot of lawn replaced with water efficient landscaping. And all of that information's in the back. We're not your water provider, like I said, but our sister agencies are, and we have the same rules. So we made it easy because in some areas it's like central Utah and then it's us on like the same road, different sides of the street. And we're like, we can't cause civil wars with like $3 and $1. Like we have to do something. So yes.
I want to actually ask you a question, both selfishly for myself as a designer, but also I think for people who are applying for these rebates themselves. What are the areas that you are seeing the most pinch points happen when people are submitting their plans? Because sometimes I feel like it kind of differs plan to plan or agent to agent. Like, what are the things that we should know going into submitting to make sure we get accepted?
Okay, great question. Basically, you're gonna be accepted. So we are like desperate for people to do these programs. The only reason your design would be like thrown out is if it's like something that the program doesn't pay for. So if it's like a 1-to-1 replacement of like your grass to artificial turf, we don't refund for artificial turf. So we would send that design back just to say like, here are some other options for things you might consider instead, and then you could reapply as well. You also don't have to get, I think the thing that like gets people caught up is they think they have to have it more planned out than we actually care about. Like, no offense, but we don't care if you're planting irises or peonies. We love you. We want to hear from you. We want to support you on your journey, but like, you can choose whatever plants you like. Like, just let us know what areas of grass you're taking out and that you're going to put plants in. And that's good enough for us. So I think sometimes we just get overcomplicated. That's probably a bad answer for you, but we are doing $50, but that's an hour service area. I do believe in Central it's 100. So when you go on to Slow the Flow and you put in your city, it'll have all of that for you linked to. That's why I don't want to get sued by like saying dollar amounts ever. So I'm like, yeah, you have to go check though. Nothing I say is real. Everything is hypothetically.
It might be universally 50 now.
Right. See, yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Trees,
Okay, 5. So now, yeah, so $50, 10 trees. Fruit trees count though, so you can do an orchard. So, any other questions? Comments? Thank you guys for having me.
All right. What an incredible meeting, guys, and I have to apologize that we didn't make a better use of your time, but I do feel like you were a guardian angel over the entire meeting tonight, and I hope that material that we talked about here as a community reinforces all of the things that you're trying to do.
No, I think great presentations, Daryl and
Madeline.
Not your fault. Anything that's not just submitted or still. We were just like on the animal together, or like, oh, I'm so excited to actually talk to you and like. Yeah, I'll just say, like they said, there's so many good options. I'll say I've had a great experience switching out my yard too a few years ago. We took all of the grass that was legacy from the previous property owner. We put all pollinators, native landscape. We're a few years out from that now, and it's all beautiful. I mean, it's just great. Anyone can come see it. It's wonderful. It's perennial plants. Every year I have the globe mallow and the, cinquefoil, and everything's coming. It's really nice. If anyone has questions at another time, because I know we're out of time, about budget, public utilities bills, that is the dream I'm living right now. And I'm happy to talk about any of that.
Is it okay to share your email in our meeting summary?
Yeah, for
We would
sure.
love that.
Yeah, so it's laura.draper@slc.gov.
Yeah.
And please feel free to send me a message and we'll get back to you.
And I have to make one special little announcement. Laura was so helpful last year in helping us secure full-time running water for Miller Park and Bonneville Glen. And she and I talked extensively and repeatedly about that process, and I feel like she's our guardian angel. So in addition to being grateful that you're here in a broader context, I'm super grateful to say thank you personally for your efforts there.
And one other thing, thank you so much. And one other thing I'll add is in Salt Lake City, we are in stage 2 of our water shortage contingency plan because of the lack of snowpack or the no-pack that we had. And right now for all residents and commercial properties, the conservation is voluntary. But this is a really unique year, and I'm monitoring to make sure that we're not going to stage 3, which would be mandatory restrictions. What will keep us out of stage 3 is if everybody, as was said earlier, does their part. It's a collective action. We want to save between 10 million and 25 million gallons per day. And really the most important thing is to save it on your landscapes. And I'm not asking people to have their lawns go brown or to, kill any plants. I think you heard a lot of really great information here about just little things you can do with smart timers, with watering less, and like also we offer free water checks. Salt Lake City has a lot of conservation resources as well. We partnered with Jordan Valley, Central Utah Water Conservancy District too. So
Thank you.
any questions about that too, just feel free to send us.
Thank you, Laura. All right, guys. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to the Yalecrest Children's Theater Network Neighborhood. Remember their performance on the 29th. We'll send out more information, and thank you so much.